Okay, so I'm going to just quickly show you how to color an alien here. Very similar to the robot, I'm just going to go back into object mode if I'm not already. And actually, you might have a bunch of things hidden here, so let me just show you how to turn those back on. Okay, so you might be in this mode here. So we want to press N to get our properties back. And then we can click under display, uncheck only render. And then shift spacebar will give us back all of our other options here. Okay, so if you're currently sculpting, that's how you get your stuff back. Now I want to set a material, and it doesn't really matter right now. I can change this color later if I want. So I've got my material, and I'm going to add a texture. Now if you have multiple objects, you're going to have to do this for each object. Okay, so I'm actually going to find a texture here. Let's look for like a scale texture. Okay, how about, I don't know, this one looks kind of cool, dragon scale. Okay, just save that on the desktop and go back here. And I'm going to change the type to image or movie, and then open. And I'm just going to find that. I think I called it dragon scale. There it is. Okay. So one thing here, you can't actually see the texture unless you go to texture down here in your viewport shading, or you can go into rendered if you like. Rendered will actually show what it looks like when it's rendered. Now, my light is right here, my lamp. Let's just move that so I can see. And maybe I'll just make a few more of these just to light it up. Okay. So you can see in the rendered mode, I've got some dragon scale texture. Okay. Now, there are some ways we can make that look better. Okay, I don't know where my texture is going. Oh, I'm selecting the lamp. Okay. So here's my dude again. So we can change the projection here, see if that makes a difference. Let's go to here. Coordinates I could set to object, for instance, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Okay? Actually, I don't like that. Okay? So you can try different projections. I think that probably normal is probably my best bet. Or whatever I had before, did I have global? I can't remember. Okay, I think it was generated. Okay, that just refers to how it's mapping that texture on top of your object. Okay, in projection, flat is the default. We can try some other ones, see if that makes a difference too. Okay, that's cube. Maybe tube will be better. Okay, I think flat is fine. All right, so depending on the shape of your object, if you're putting a texture on an eyeball, for instance, you would want to have it set to sphere. Okay, so you can just play with those options there. You can also change the size. So I believe the smaller the number, the bigger it is. So if I put like 0.9, okay, so that will, let's see, 0.5. Let me see if I can get a, Yeah, so the smaller the number, the bigger the texture is, or the more zoomed in it is. Okay, so I set all these to 0.5, and you can see it's a lot more zoomed in, I guess, on the model. Okay, so play with those numbers too, if you like. I'm actually going to set that back to 1. I thought it looked better. But depending on your source image, you might want to play with the size. Okay, now color will impart the color of the texture onto the shape. So if you don't want that color, uncheck that, like if you've chosen to color with materials. I think that looks kind of neat though. And this is the cool one, geometry. Geometry will actually give us some texture. I don't know if you guys can see the difference. Did you see that? Pardon? Do you see the difference between those two?
A little bit.
Yeah, let me just kind of rotate it to a different angle. Okay, so this is with geometry. Okay, you can really see on the face. Let me zoom in. So slow. Okay. So see, there's like these creases and stuff. Okay, and you can see like there's depth. If I take geometry off, now it's smooth. See that? Okay. So that is a really cool thing you can do to give your alien some texture. So this is just taking the geometry from the scale texture. Now, if I put geometry on but took color off, I would still have the scale texture, I just wouldn't have the scale color. Okay, maybe you can see it better like this. Okay, it's very slow because I'm in rendered mode right now. Okay, actually I think that looks pretty neat. See, this is object mode, or solid, and then this is rendered. You can see it's quite a big difference. Okay. There are other things you can do with influence. You know, feel free to play with any of these. There's one that emits, like you can make the texture, turn this into an emitter, which means that it makes light. Okay, I don't know if you want your alien to have glowing eyes or something. Let's turn that off. Okay, so why don't I put the color back on? Okay, so just like your robot, if you wanted to color a specific area of your alien, you could highlight just that area. Now it's a bit trickier with the alien because I've got a lot more points, right? But what you could do is, you know, say I wanted the head a different color. I could use the box select to select just the head. Okay, and then I could put a different material on. Let me just try that. Let's make a new material. I'm going to make this blue. Okay, now when I go to my rendered, oh, he still doesn't have a blue head. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now he's a blue head. So you could give different textures. So maybe I could, you know, maybe this scale is actually like his spacesuit and he's got like this fleshy head underneath. Okay, so you could do that if you wanted to like put different color hands or head or whatever. The last thing I'll show you is if you want to put eyes and teeth and horns, I really recommend you add them as separate objects. Okay, so eyes could be a sphere, UV sphere. So I've made eye sockets. Okay, and by the way, when you're modeling with the sculpt mode, you can hold control and that will use your influence to make an indent. Okay, so I've got some eyes there. I could add a separate texture to the eyes. If you could maybe even find an eye texture online that you could apply to it. And then for teeth, you could even just use cones. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this into place. Okay, you could find like a bone texture for that, for instance. One quick way to make lots of teeth is you can just press Shift D, and I'll make another one. Okay, or if you know you make a couple, you could select them all, press Shift D, like that. Okay. Actually, it looks kind of like a shark.
Kind of look like a robotic version of Batman. Kind of does.
Yeah, a little bit. Sharkman. King Shark. If anyone's a fan of Suicide Squad.
Oh. He's gonna be in it, or?
I don't think he is. I think they've got Killer Croc taking his place. Okay, so there you go. I've got some teeth. You know, you could add some horns as well. Whatever you want to do to your alien. You could model him a ray gun to carry around, because you know that's what some aliens have, or like a staff or a sword or whatever. Okay, but that is kind of the basics of how to add some texture. And like I said, any kind of additional things like teeth, eyes, horns, I recommend adding as separate objects. Okay.